Buko, welcome back to Buko Podcast. Natural dry process, coffee process, and wet process. Before the coffee is processed, the coffee harvest plays an important key to quality final product. Coffee carries do not usually ripen at the same time. One of the characteristics of the ripeness of the coffee carries is to measure how much sweetness do the coffee carries contain so that you can ensure that they have reached the right maturity. Thus, the coffee process can be continued after harvest. In some modern countries to create machine to assist the harvest of coffee, but for result there is no best mechanic to choose ripe coffee except with human. Harvesting machine often cause damage to the coffee tree, and of course the machine are difficult to distinguish which one are ripe and which are not. Coffee process. Choosing only ripe coffee carries will have a higher cost impact. How could it not be? The coffee picker who are paid for service by the plantation owner are usually not based on daily basis, but on the number of sacks or weight obtained. If the coffee picker have to walk all over the garden and take rate, of course, their income will be low if they use a per hour payment system. Paying daily has the risk of increasing costs to the plantation owner, but to produce quality specialty coffee it can be calculated. Post-harvest coffee processing can influence the attractiveness of consumer to pay higher price. Climatic condition, water accessibility, demand, machine, and farmer experience are critical aspects in choosing the right post-harvest method to apply. Natural coffee process or dry process. During the natural process, the coffee carries are dried in the sun with the outer skin intact until they reach a dryness of about 12% moisture content, usually lasting up to 4 weeks. Coffee bean absorb the nutrient and sugar contained in the coffee skin, and it was produced the sweet taste in high body coffee and brew. On large plantation, coffee drying sometimes use a machine to speed up the process after the coffee has been left out in the sun for a few days. Natural coffee process from Novian Fazli, Bukit Timur, South Sumatra. The obstacle that often occur in the natural coffee process is the inconsistency of the final coffee taste. This is because the mucilage of the coffee fruit varies in thickness, but weather extends the drying time and result in fermented coffee. Some people consider dry processed method to be low quality, but on the other hand, the natural process of many fan in and it is believed to create unique flavor and characteristics like winey. That's not. You can get a really sweet taste and aroma of dried fruit in a cup of coffee from this method if done right, and you can feel the heavy body brewing in this process. Wet process coffee fruit method. Wet coffee process by Pani. The wet process requires very specific equipment and a large amount of water at each step. The process focuses on the coffee bean from the very beginning of harvest. Therefore, the main objective is to get the original flavor of the coffee bean content. The coffee carry that cover the coffee bean have been peeled using a pulper machine while they are still wet, then wash it thoroughly before drying. The advantage of this process is that it offers coffee lover a clean and consistent taste. First step, mining process of coffee ramba. Wet plucked coffee is selected using a water bed. The goods carriers will be under the reservoir and enter the pulper machine. Bad coffee will float on the washed water along with dirt and other foreign matter. Second step, pulping coffee peeler machine. Peeling the skin of the coffee fruit must be done no later than 24 hours after the harvest. The skin of the coffee is removed by means of a pulper machine, which can be assisted by hand selection of the bad fruit that has escaped or by mechanical machinery. Third step, fermentation. Coffee fermentation. Processed Giovanni coffee beans that have peeled from the flesh and skin are still coated with sticky mucus, so they must be placed in fermentation tub and monitored carefully. Fermentation time is between 12 until 36 hours depending on the experience of farmer and climatic condition in that area. This step has a huge impact on the final flavor of the coffee. After the fermentation is complete, the coffee bean with parchment are washed until the mucilage is gone and ready to be dry. Currently, coffee still has a water content around 55%. So, it is dry up to 11% of the green bean water content. This moisture content is ideal when performing proper storage, cooling, and roasting. The wet process does require skill and water to function as intended. Some of the most expensive specialty coffee in the world often use this process. Test note: the full process method produces coffee that is purer, cleaner, higher acidity, and usually a brew similar to tea. The second process above are from the post-harvest generality, most often carried out by coffee bean producers. Apart from dry processing and wet processing, there is also a honey processing method that combines two methods above. About post-harvest honey, we publish in the next article. Greetings, Coffee.